Welcome to Organisational Behaviour with Siphiwe Moyo. I've always thought academic principles are boring. I've spent a lot of time teaching at business schools, and I've taught at 4 business schools in the world. And I've also been an HR specialist, an organisational behaviour specialist. But I've always wanted to create conversations where we can make these things accessible, right? And we can talk about how do you use academically sound principles of behavioral science, of organizational behavior to actually help us lead in the workplace. And I've always thought there's just this gap between practice and academia. And I'm just here to bridge this gap. So welcome to the channel. Stick with me, baby. My name is Siphiwe Moyo, and today I want to talk to you about the Great Resignation. Many leaders around the world are really concerned about this phenomenon of a Great Resignation. I think it's about 18 months now that we've been dealing with this higher than usual number of employees just voluntarily leaving their jobs. I think it started around the late 2020, 2021, and I think it's a big concern for many executives around the world. Just yesterday, I was facilitating a team engagement session for a senior leadership team of a really great organization, and they're really worried about their attrition numbers, the number of people that they are just losing, especially now in 2022, is just astounding. And so we're figuring out ways on how we can just stop the bleeding and stop these people from resignation. And I think for me, we have to realize that the world before COVID and post the pandemic has really changed. And we have to try our best to halt this Great Resignation. So is there anything that we can try to do? Should we throw our hands in the air in collective despair as leaders, or is there anything that leaders can do? Well, I think there are some answers that we can try and explore. And for me, one of the most interesting research by a researcher at Yale University, Amy Wisensky, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, has conducted a series of research studies that I really, really enjoy. And I think following in the work of psychologist Robert Bellah, Amy was very curious about why do people actually work? How do people actually relate to this thing called work? We talk in organizational commitment research about something called affective commitment, where someone is committed to the work and committed to the organization emotionally. These are the people who speak about their work during the weekend, people who are so proud to do their work. How do we get that right? And so Amy has done some interesting research, and based on the work by Bellah, and Bellah has categorized people into 3 broad categories when it comes to how people relate with work. And I think they can kind of help us as leaders. And so these 3 categories is there are people who view and their relationship with work is a job. These are the people when you ask how is work, they say work is work. How else do you expect work to be? Work is work. So people relate to that particular work, as a job. And then there's a second category that refers to their work as careers, right? And we will explain what that is. And lastly, people who see their work as a calling. And so as a leader, how you relate to those types of people is quite different. And I love this work by Bellah and this subsequent work by Amy and applying it in organizations. I love it because if you think about the first category, let's talk about the first category. So people who relate to their work as a job, they are in the job because they want money. There are bills to be paid, and there are bills to be paid. They must pay them. They do not necessarily like the work. They often actually fantasize about being out of work, just traveling and doing whatever they want. So they don't really have that affective commitment to work. The second category is people who view work as their career. People in this particular category are motivated by progression, by advancement. So these are the people who really work hard. They come to the workplace and they work really, really hard, and who see their work as a stepping stone to a better life. So I like my work, but more importantly, I see it as a stepping stone to a better life. So those are the people in career. To improve my own circumstances, I'm able to be work. So these are the people who are mostly interested in increased supervisory responsibilities. They want that promotion. They want that advancement. They want more status. They want the perks that are related to advancement. They want them. They might throw themselves into the work, but they're also looking forward to the vacation. Side note, I'm looking forward to the vacation right now. I really am. I guess I'm in this category. I probably am. But the third category is people who view their work as a calling. These are the people who believe that the work itself helps them to fulfill such a bigger calling, something that has a sense of transcendence, that they work for something just bigger than themselves, something more substantial, something more meaningful. They view their work as some kind of a mission through which they can live their values. So work becomes an engine for me to live out my values. How do these categories help us at work? Well, I think they really help us. And I think Amy has found that people they can fall into those categories regardless of what they actually do. So I might be a speaker, or somebody else might be a bus driver, but we could also fall in the category of calling, both of us. So it's really not about what we do, but how we relate to our work. And I think there are three things that I wanted to chat to you about today, things that we can do as leaders that we can get from this research and really try to, get people to halt this great resignation that we're talking about. I think the first one is we need to build one-on-one relationships with our team members. We really need to understand our team members a little bit better. And you have to listen to those cues on where you think they are in those three categories. Do they enjoy talking about work outside of work? Is work one of the most important things for their lives? Or maybe is advancement the most important thing? If you understand this, you relate to them a little bit better. How you motivate them a little bit better. So if someone relates to work as a job, the main thing that you want to do is to consider long-term incentives, short-term incentives. They want money, those people. If I refer to your job as a career, I want promotion. How can you motivate? Even if there's no vertical promotion, how do you give me more work that can give me more status, as an example? And I think the big word that is coming out in a lot of studies that I'm seeing that are causing this great resignation, people want autonomy. They want to decide. They want to do this thing called job crafting, which is the second step that I want to talk to you about. So you have to encourage a certain level of job crafting. And job crafting is an individually driven work design. It must be driven by an individual, which refers to self-initiated and proactive strategies to really change the characteristics of one's job to better align it to maybe your values, your personal needs, your goals and skills. And if you can give people a little bit of flexibility to job craft, to try and infuse some sense of meaning and purpose into their jobs, you can retain them a little bit better. And because of that, it gives people that sense of autonomy, that sense of I can design the way my job goes. And if I have a certain degree of autonomy, I'm able to stay a little bit longer in that organization. And third and last, what you have to try is to increase this thing called job significance by communicating the why. You remember the work of Simon Sinek. I think many of us know. Communicate the why. Tell people why they must do the things that they can do. You have to link their concrete daily task. Some of the tasks that we must do at work, they are quite concrete. They can be mundane at times. They're repetitive at times. But if you can link those concrete tasks to abstract values, higher order values that the individual has, you would have won. We're often told this story about space agents in NASA, that one of the presidents in the US, I think it was J.F. Kennedy, was working at NASA and bumped into a janitor. In some of our countries, you might call it a cleaner. And the president asked the janitor, "What do you do here at NASA?" And the janitor says, "I help to put the man in the moon, Mr. President." You see, what happens there is that there's a concrete task that the janitor has, which is to clean. And then there's this abstract values that connect to something bigger to help to put a man on the moon. So as leaders, what we have to try is to link what people do on a day-to-day basis, the mundane, repetitive, concrete tasks. We have to lift those up and connect it to something bigger. And if we can do that, we will find some level of significance, and it will help us stall this great resignation that many of us are struggling with. And we were chatting about this at the session I was facilitating yesterday, and I thought I'll share it with you. Thank you. See you next time. Say something in the comments. Let me know how you've done this. I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining me. If you've liked this particular video, please thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel, and keep joining me. I'd love to just chat to you. Let me know if this particular content worked on the comments below. Let's interact. Let me know if you think you can apply it in the workplace or in your life. General, I'd love to interact with you. And if you want to contact me, I'm a location agnostic professional speaker. Just go to my website, is siphiwemoyo.com, and the website will be right here on the description. I'm looking forward to engaging you.